This is a A4 size, nice and robust. You can see it's about ½ an inch, probably 3/4 inch thick. And when you open it up, ta-da! And it plays. I've not actually put the video on that one yet. And we've got a box of, not just a box of goodies, but a whole table full of goodies here. And we've got some templates and things that you'll be able to swipe and deploy. And I think we're going to make you think a little bit differently about how you could get a lot more meetings in this session. Now, we want to start though with there's a kind of foundation block to this session.
There is. There's a process to go through, and before we jump into all the fun, exciting box of goodie stuff, we need to start with the kind of less fun stuff, because we're going to start.
No, the less fun stuff is in next episode.
Oh.
This is a fun episode.
Sorry.
I've got the
all
fun
still
shirt. Okay.
The fun shirt.
Yeah.
Everything's fun when you're wearing this shirt.
Okay. One day, son, this shirt will be yours.
We're going to start with some maths.
Yes, okay,
Some
right, let's do some maths then. All right. So.
Here we go, because it's important. Not maths.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Because it's important when it comes to getting meetings, like all marketing, to first begin with your numbers so that you can know exactly what you can and should be spending in order to get those leads, those meetings, those sales.
Very, very important point here, because my definition of marketing for me is all it is about is creativity plus maths. But you need the two bits. It's not just about the creativity, and neither is it just about the maths, but it's the two together that make this work, and you'll see that through. So you want to talk us through a little example here then that
Yes, we have
together.
some examples on some slides here. So I use the example of a business for whom a customer is worth about £1,200 kind of profit a year for that business. So not bad. Could be anything, an accountancy firm, a IT support, could be anything at all. Now, if we look at that customer and we say, okay, how many meetings does it take us on average to get a customer? In this example, I said it takes four. Four meetings to get a customer. So if you see 4 people, if you sit in front of them, tell them about your thing, only one of them buys. Now, for most businesses, that's kind of average, I would say. Most of our clients get better than that, but for this example, it takes 4 meetings to get that sale, which means when we do some maths, if you divide the profit by the number of meetings you need, it means that each meeting is actually worth about £300 to you, because 4 meetings equals 1 client equals £1,200, therefore each meeting is worth about £300 to you.
Okay.
Following me so far?
So far, I'm with you.
Fantastic. Now, how do we get meetings? Well, we need leads. We need to approach people to try and get these meetings. And let's say it takes, I'm going to approach 30 people to actually get 1 meeting.
I'm glad you said 30, because that's what I put on the slide.
Well, there we go. Fantastic. Now, again, not wild, crazy numbers, but still. So if we approach 30 people, 1 of them will say yes to have a meeting. And if we get 4 meetings, we know we'll get 1 customer. So £1,200, do the maths back, £300 a meeting, do the maths back. It means each lead is worth about £10 to us. So now, when we're doing our mathematics, when we're working out what we can actually spend to get a customer, to get a meeting, to get a lead, it means we can spend up to £10 to get a lead, to then get a meeting, to then get a customer.
So anything up to £10, if it's less than £10, we're in the money. If it's more than £10, we're going to be careful, because we're probably going to lose money in the first year on average. And again, it's worth saying again, because I had happened to me again yesterday. It happens most weeks. I'll be talking to a business. I talked to one of our agency clients yesterday, and I was asking. I said, on average, I said, how much is a customer worth to you? And he gave me the typical answer, which begins with the fateful 2 words, well, it depends. No, it doesn't. What's the average? And the average, well, it depends. No, it doesn't. I know that you have some that are more profitable and some that are less profitable. You have some big transactions and some little transactions, but you have an average. And when it comes to formulating your marketing plan, really important to look at that average. And there always is an average to work it through. So on the numbers we got there, those numbers could flex a bit, couldn't they?
Well, we can always improve. There's always room for improvement. So let's say instead of needing 4 meetings to get a sale, what if we dropped it down to 2? So we're quite good at what we do. If we have 2 meetings, 1 of them will convert. So now, when we run that maths through, it means our £1,200 profit is only divided by 2 meetings, which means a meeting is now worth £600 to us, which means if we still need 30 leads to get a meeting, well, now each lead is worth £20. We basically doubled
what we can spend
to get that lead, because our meetings are now converting a lot better. So now things start to get a little bit more exciting. But, of course, there's more. Because let's say that you still needed 2 meetings to get a sale, so you have £600 a meeting there. But what if you improved your kind of lead to meeting conversion? Because, we're going to be spending more money doing more stuff. That's a reasonable assumption to make. So what if we only needed 10 leads to get a meeting?
Wow.
Well, now, to flow the maths through there, we're looking at £60 a lead. Oh, now it's a whole different ballgame when you can spend £60 to get a lead, to get a meeting, to get a sale, versus £10, or even less than that. And the key thing here that I want to get across is that people should do this exercise, do the maths, work out what the conversion rates are, and do this here, because chances are, for most businesses out there, the number that you can spend to get a meeting and a lead is going to be more than you think. Because in this example, forget the lead stuff, we can spend £600 to get a meeting. Yeah. You can do a lot for £600.
Yeah. And that's the way, and so we're going to show you now some things that do involve spending money. But they are very, very effective, and when you do the maths, what they allow you to do is not turn up like everybody else. You can show up in a very impactful way that gets people's attention.
And that's the key.
And that is absolutely the key. So should we start to delve into your little...
Well, I brought a little example. We can start there. Because when it comes to getting meetings, we're going B2B. We're probably approaching people who have some sort of receptionist or assistant, some sort of gatekeeper, who inevitably is going to go through the post, check it, and kind of scan stuff before it actually reaches our recipient. In most cases, that's what's going to happen. And that can be anything from, the partner of the person, who sometimes scans the post and decides for you what's relevant and what's not. Or it can be, if you're going for big, high-level executives in corporations, there can be multiple levels of secretaries and receptionists to get past. Now, knowing all of that, most people who want to send a letter to try and get a meeting with someone will send a letter that looks a bit like this.
Okay.
Thank you very much. A plain white windowed envelope, probably franked, probably second class. This envelope
that's cheapest.
Oh.
That's the cheapest way to send it.
Well, exactly. My goodness. This is not going to excite anyone. This is immediately going to be, you're going to open this, going through the motions of opening your post, skim read what's inside before quickly bidding it off, because why wouldn't you? It's boring. Now, in comparison, oh my goodness. This package here, my God, it's lumpy, hand addressed, a stamp, little scribbles all over it. There's something exciting inside. This is going to land straight on the desk of the recipient, or it's going to be excitedly opened by whoever opens the post, and inevitably, whatever's inside is going to get talked about a whole lot more than the gross little white envelope. So, at the very foundation of the kind of get meeting strategy, it's all about showing up, getting people's attention, to do as much as you can to not just get to the recipient that it's actually intended for, but to avoid just being put in the bin or skim read. And a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about, its sole purpose in life is to make sure whatever's inside your envelope with the kind of stuff that we're putting in here, it gets read.
Okay. The reality is that, first of all, if you're just relying on sending electronic messages through email, then life is going to be it's very, very hard to get people's attention. And it's very difficult to emerge from the clutter on email. Much easier to send people something that gets their attention. Once you've got something physically in their hand or on their desk or on their kitchen table, it's much easier to get their attention. And so being able to send stuff out in the post is an important first step to get good quality meetings. To send it in the post, you've got to know who you are going to send it to. And this is where really the absolute starting point, almost once you've done the mathematics and understood this, is to develop a clear understanding of exactly who. We call it your dream list. And your dream list, to be clear, will be a list of people, businesses that you would ideally love to have in your wildest dreams. If the people on this list were my customers, life would be good. That's what a dream list is. And a dream list done well, it takes a little bit of thought to pull together. It is different to buying data. You can buy data, and data's not that expensive. Expect to pay around about £300 per 1,000 for good quality B2B data. but all you're buying is the kind of literal demographic. You can look at the industry type, or they make some guesstimates as to how many staff the business employs or what the turnover is, etc. But you know nothing about the behaviour of the business owner or the propensity of that business to do whatever it is that you're doing. So bought lists are a compromise, but they can work. A much better list is to use your own kind of skill and judgment, your own analysis of your market. It depends what you know where that is, but to start to develop your own idea of people on your dream list. And you don't need, for a lot of things we're going to share with you today, you don't need large numbers. You don't need thousands on your dream list. In some cases, you don't even need hundreds on your dream list. You just might need a small number, a dozen businesses on your dream list to make a real significant impact into your market. But the way you get your dream list, you identify the businesses that you want, and you then have to do some research to get and to find the right people in those businesses, the right people to write to, because the worst thing you can do is kind of spray and pray. And we had on this sofa just a couple of weeks ago Marie Cross and her husband David. What was that song again? We won't go there. You've got to watch last week's episode. But they ran a very creative marketing campaign to a whole bunch of call centres a couple of years ago, and they bought some data. And it was all the right assurances were given that the data is really good quality and it's all up to date. And they sent this very complex, very sophisticated, quite expensive campaign out. And what they found was a lot of the people that they sent it to had left, some in some cases years earlier. Their data was out of date, and that massively diminishes any kind of impact or response that you get when you send stuff and it's overall turning up looking amazing, but if Nigel Botterill doesn't work here anymore, it's a whole lot less impactful. So when you get your dream list, it is well worth what we call validating it. So jumping on the phone, calling up the companies, and just making sure that the person you're going to send it to, I wonder if you can help me. I've got a parcel to send to Mr. Hickenbottom, and he's your managing director. Is that right? Yes, it is. Okay. Can I just check the address? That's fantastic. And if anyone says, can I ask what it is, and I've got a gift for him, I'm going to send it in the post. Do you want to make sure I got the right address? So it's a very short phone call, but we're validating the data. So we now know that whatever we're sending, whatever money we're spending on it, it's got a much better chance of being successful because it's going to the right people. So now that's a little bit of grunt work. You can, research can be done via Upwork. We've done lots of research on Upwork in the past. You can buy data lists. Nothing beats a little brainstorm, sitting down with your team and looking, who should we be targeting? Looking at different sectors and different industries and looking for different clues as to businesses that might be good ones to approach. In our business, for instance, businesses that are spending money on marketing are much more likely to invest in getting better at marketing than businesses that don't spend any money on marketing. So if we find businesses that are spending money, whether that's because they're running Google ads or they're running Facebook ads or they're running, God forbid, newspaper ads, for instance, is a really, really happy hunting ground for us, because if a business is dropping a few £100 a week on newspaper ads, we can probably help them get better results for their money. So we can go and find our list by looking at who's advertising in the newspaper, make a note of the businesses, do the research. I've got a dream list, it's come together, and now I can start to use Graham Garden, Bill Oddie and Tim Brooke-Taylor to really make an impact. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sorry, but welcome back in the room.
Thank you. No, you were great.
So where should we start then? Should we start with video cards?
Let's.
Okay, so talk about video cards then. Here's some examples of some video cards. These have all worked. I've got to be careful when I open these up because they'll all play. I've got a whole selection here. Can you see them here, Conor? So this is a A4 size, nice and robust. You can see it's about half an inch, probably 3/4 inch thick. And when you open it up, ta-da! And it plays. I've not actually put the video on that one yet. So I'll go. There's a smaller one here. This is one for one of our agency clients, Kevin Ryan and his team at Easy Truck. They sell forklift trucks. Open this up, and if we zoom in there,
Easy Truck, take one.
there he goes, and there's Kevin. Very, very impactful. And what's amazing is I've got these have worked really well. There's Gavin Page. the Ludify client with his Manchester printers. The video works there. This is Tom Warrender, who goes into schools, brings an entire working hospital into schools, and Tom pops up on his video card. And now these create a real impact, and the ability to get a meeting when you've sent something as impactful as this is really, really high.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing with these that's great is that even if a gatekeeper or receptionist opens it up, the thing with video cards is that the general public are still unaware that they exist, really. Yeah. It's really kind of a novelty when this thing arrives. Most people haven't seen one before, and they're like, wow, amazing. And what happens is that we know and we see it all the time. They get passed around the office. Wow, look at this, look what arrived for me. They tell other people, and it's got a tremendous chance of getting to the person you want it to get to because it is so interesting, so exciting, and so new.
Now, video cards like this cost, when you get them this kind of size, if you're ordering them kind of 50 at a time, then you're going to be looking at something between 35 and 40 pounds of an item at the moment to get these done, fully branded like this. They come, by the way, the video is, you'll be able to see this, but there's a little mini USB port just in the side there. So they come without the video on, as you saw on that first one. This is the fun at work one we've done. So they come with a little play video on from China, but all you do is plug the mini USB into the side of it, and where is it? Down that side there. And I'm not going to do it now. It's not like Blue Peter. So that's the first one. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go in your box, or start lead with the foot?
Lead with the foot.
Okay. So this is quite interesting. We had some clients in the summer that we needed to get some meetings for. One of them was an accountant. And so I decided we just got to get them in classic situation. Oh, if I can get in the door, if I can get a foot in the door, said this accountant, we do very well. Our conversion rate's pretty high. I thought, well, that gave me a little idea. So I said to the team, can you find me some feet? And a few days later, these little things turned up as a little sample. It's a little 2-year-old foot. Looks a bit disturbing when you start to look at it for too long. But it's just very squidgy, and I think we may have shown these on Business Growth Central before. But so we got the foot, and then I wrote a letter, a very simple letter. There it is. I want to get a foot in your door, and the key thing about this letter is the specialism in it. So when you look down there, read that through dear so and so. You probably don't know me. Guess you don't receive little squishy feet in the post. 3 reasons: grab your attention, put a smile on your face. It's a good time for us to have a chat. All accounts are not the same. They focus on what they're best at is different. I specialise in looking after kitchen companies or printers, and we make them relevant to the particular piece. Now, when we did the little test in the summer, we sent 100 of those letters out with 100 squidgy feet. At least these feet are costing us about £1.80, I think, a foot, posted out the door. They don't weigh very much. And so we sent 100 out, so cost less than 200 quid. And we ended up with 11 meetings. I mean, that's radical. I mean, that is seriously amazing return. Now, just to be clear, only 2 of the people actually called us up on the back of the letter. The other 9 meetings came when we followed up on the telephone. And my telemarketing team love following up on the foot letter because it's such a great conversation opener. When they ring up, I'm the guy that sent you the foot. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And the conversation is, well, obviously they're more accomplished than I am at those calls, thankfully. But it gets the conversation opened. Really, everyone remembers the foot, and they are working very well. Okay, bring on Bill.
Well, okay, the box of goodies. I have a selection of other kind of cheap-ish things that you can use that you can use to make your actual, make sure your letter gets read, actually attract attention of the people in there. The first is actually about what you send your letter in. And this is an example of a printed envelope. Now, this is actually from America. You can tell by the American flag printed on the back. But the way that this works is because this design here is remarkably similar to actually the kind of old school United States Postal Service express delivery envelopes that they have there. And sending your letter in an envelope that looks like it's urgent and really important. You can put the address on the back and everything like that. Well, suddenly it elevates the post, so it goes from a standard letter to actually something that is more important, urgent, gives that impression. So it's a great first impression with the envelope. Once you get into the envelope, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. I mean, if you're in the kind of service industry, then a lovely pair of white gloves, perhaps.
Where you got them from?
Because, you know, obviously you can expect the white glove treatment from us. For example, a nice little opener leads in. A nice little bag of shredded money is always a good one.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Shredded money. My goodness.
Buffalo soldier.
Because you might as well be shredding your money. You're throwing it away. You're spending so much on rent or IT or whatever it might be, and you can save costs like that. An egg timer, for example. An egg timer here because, I mean, all sorts of stuff. You could save time with the egg timer, or the meeting's only going to be a few minutes.
You can time me.
You can time it, for example, something like that. A magic wand. Imagine if you could do X, Y, and Z. If it was as easy as waving a magic wand, you'll think it's magic. All sorts of ties in to the message here. I like these. These are little sticky brains. Little brains because it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. Chuck a handful of little sticky brains in there. My goodness, that gets exciting. Other little things. This is a little bug. A little bug. Now, what I'd recommend here, get a handful of these little things, literally pennies for a handful. Chuck those in there. Oh, sorry to keep bugging you. Hilarious. Right? Because little things like this, when you throw a handful of them in an envelope, make the envelope lumpy, they feel it, it's exciting, they spill out onto the desk. Army men work really well for this as well because they've got such an interesting kind of feel and texture.
Oh, you mean the toys?
Yes.
Sorry.
My goodness.
To compute that.
God. This is a good one.
Yes, I like this one.
A plastic bin. Now this works because it really bulks out whatever you're sending, and what you do...
So that arrives like that, doesn't it?
Like this. You can stick a stamp on it, tape it shut. You can put it in an envelope if you want to.
Yeah.
Open it up. Oh, the letter is inside the bin. Oh my God, hilarious. You've scrumpled up the letter, put it inside the bin, and it says, oh, I've been trying to get in touch with you. My emails must have been ending up in the bin, so I thought I'd save you the trouble with the letter. Oh, the letter's already in the bin. Hilarious. My goodness. Things like that. But sending a letter in a plastic bin, for example, or throwing a handful of bugs or an egg time or a magic wand or whatever weird little stuff you want to put in there, all it does is it gets their attention. And again, that's all this comes down to, because if you can get someone's attention, if they can start to read the actual letter, the message that you want to get across, then you're going to have such a better chance of actually getting that meeting with them and to get them to respond to it, because most people just send boring stuff out. And the key here is to be memorable, to be exciting, to not be forgotten.
Now, this next piece I want to show you, this is my proudest piece of marketing that we've done this year. I think a drum roll is in order for this. Now we didn't send them all out. We didn't send it all out in a rigid pelly case like this. We ended up getting some black, robust cardboard boxes with a foam insert. And this campaign is the only campaign I have ever been involved in which has achieved 100% response rate. And what that means is every single person that received this piece of marketing called us and had a meeting, and the conversion rates flow from that were very, very high. Now, I developed this campaign for a pest control business, one of my agency clients, and they have a new type of a rat trap, and it's wired. It's got its own SIM card in it, so it's connected permanently to the network. And this is really important because with a lot of pest control, especially in all the kind of industrialised places, a lot of water companies, etc. Any big industrial plant, they have to send technicians to check the traps on a regular basis. And of course, the cost of those visits is wrapped up in the cost of the pest control. And most of the time, of course, there's nothing in the trap, so it's a kind of a waste of time. And these particular traps have been developed, and when they are triggered, when an animal enters the trap, the SIM card sends a message to the control centre so they know that particular trap has been triggered. Now that's really useful, especially if the traps are in particularly remote locations or hard to access areas. So the company concerned, I thought in particular this would be very helpful for water companies, and they're a national company, and so they talked us through with this, so we gave it some thought, and we sent this box, and I call this the rat, the trap, and the phone, because in this box are three things. I'm going to be careful with this one. So the first thing in here is this isn't actually the smart trap, but pretend it is, okay? It looks a little bit different to this. That there's a rat trap in the case, and to go along with the rat trap, there's also a rat. So in this case is the rat, the trap, and a prepaid mobile phone. Okay, now that phone, when we send this out, is fully charged and it is turned on. And there's a single sheet of letter sits on top of this box, and this box always gets opened, and it's all the things that Cameron said earlier about you get to the gatekeeper. This looks really official and proper. And when this lands, you can see, like this, with the rat, the trap, and the phone in there, and a single page letter, that is getting to the person that you wanted to get to. And we're going to head senior operations peoples at large industrial organisations. And it's a very simple letter, and it says we've got these new traps that we think will save you a lot of money, because when the traps are triggered, they're connected with the SIM card, and our control centre knows straight away, and so we don't have to send out technicians to view traps unnecessarily, so you save a lot of money. When traps do go off, we're able to go and deal with it. And to see how it works, all you've got to do is put the rat in the trap, and within 5 minutes, the phone will ring. And that's what happens. So when people put the rat, and no one, you cannot resist. I don't care who you are. You cannot. When you get a letter like that and that comes, you cannot resist putting the rat in the trap. And what's happening? When we were sending these out, we were sending these out like at 10 at a time. So that's all, just 10 of these at a time. We knew exactly which numbers, which phones had gone to which places, and we'd linked the phones just on a spreadsheet, but the phones were linked to the traps. So when the recipients, put the rat in the trap, the control centre was alerted. They knew straight away which phone it was, and they had 3 of the senior people in the company on standby, literally 24/7. So when any of those went off, it was a red alert, call this number, and so effectively the right salesperson would call, and the phone rang within 5 minutes. And when you deliver such a well thought through, creative marketing piece as that, and you execute it in the right way, you become completely irresistible. And that's why it got the 100% response rate. Now, that is not a cheap thing to send. There's a bit of effort has to go into that. As I said, we didn't use Pele cases for all of them. We got some very nice, but a bit cheaper, a bit smaller. Nice black cardboard boxes. We got them branded. We spent a bit of money. So the whole thing with the mobile phone in there, the rats and the set, not that expensive in truth, but to ship it all out, we were probably in truth from a cost perspective, we were less than the cost of an A4 video card to actually send it out. But of course, what they've been picking up is 5-figure contracts for pest control. One of them is likely to become a 6-figure annual contract. But you've got to get the meeting. And if you just send the regular common or garden letter, much harder to get the attention. But the rat, the trap, and the phone, that worked really, really well. Really, really well. That was my best efforts.
Love it.
I'm putting it down there. Gauntlets thrown down.
Well done.
The thing with all these is follow up, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, people can send out a video card and then just sit by the phone and cross their fingers and wait for people to call, when actually they miss such an obvious point. Send the stuff out and then follow up with them. Yeah. Don't expect people to call you on their own. So phone them. And the good thing with all this stuff is, like you said about the feet, it's so easy, that call, because it's now, hey, I'm the guy who sent this to you. Yeah. And immediately they know who you are, they know what you're talking about because they remember the letter, so it becomes a much easier conversation.
And one of the challenges with those conversations is if we're as business, because I don't think you shouldn't do those calls as a business owner. I think it undermines your positioning, and also it's not what you're good at. And we get some of our clients in the agency get very hung up on this. We had I mentioned the forklift truck business a few minutes ago, and Kevin got really nervous about our telemarketing team ringing up because they know nothing about forklift trucks. I said, Kevin, I don't want them to know anything about forklift trucks, because if anyone's got any question about forklift trucks, that's the reason why they need to meet you. I don't want to know anything at all. It helps that we are, to a large extent, ignorant about forklift trucks, because that's why I need to get you to see Kevin, because all I'm selling on the follow-up is the meeting or the call. I'm not selling your service, not selling your product, and neither are you. When you're following up on these pieces of mail, you're following up to get the meeting. That's the purpose. Can I come and see you? Whatever question they've asked, that's a really good question. I can show you all that and talk you through it when I come and see you. How's next Tuesday looking? But just getting very focused on booking the meeting is a really, really important piece with the follow-up. It has to happen at the right time as well. Don't call too early, but equally you can't leave it a couple of weeks because they've forgotten about it. Even something like this, if you ring a couple of weeks later, it's too late. The sweet spot is somewhere between 2 and 5 days after it's dropped. Is you need to make those calls and pull them in. Mm-hmm. One other way to get meetings, which you can swipe, and I'll put up on the screen, which has also worked very well this year, is we've just sent an email. I know I said it can emerge from the clutter, can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, but it also can work. And this is a little piece of text that I wrote for Michael and Linda Shane, who are two mastermind members who run a business that trains people. They have a fantastic portfolio of bite-sized training videos on covering all the Microsoft Office products. And they are building a network of IT companies that they work with, because the IT companies can offer their training as a kind of a bolt-on and add-on to the service and what they do. And so I just wrote this email for them, and they have their little dream list of IT companies. I said, we'll try by just sending this email. Hi, I'm the written note. I want to discuss the logic of, this is the prospects company working with Micro, that's Michael and Linda's company. LinkedIn, point me in your direction. We're a UK-based online training provider, specialising in Office 365. Our very popular 3-minute modules make learning super easy. Over 35,000 subscribers, and a clever approach that can add significant value to a business like yours. I'd see us as a complementary offering and a logical partner and revenue stream for you. So I thought I'd drop you a line to at least discuss it. Since we're Yorkshire based, perhaps a call, I can work around your diary. Is there a good time for a quick chat? Now what we've done there is given them a very specific reason. We've looked at this. When I wrote that piece, I was looking at it from the perspective of the IT company who were getting bombarded with people wanting to sell them stuff. I think this is something that will work really well for you. And I'm not trying to sell the product, I just want to sell the meeting. This is a revenue stream for you, this is going to help you. And when they put those emails out, they're again bowled away really. But again, just to be clear, it's all about the maths. It's not like this is nowhere near 100% response rate at all, but it is a sufficient response rate for that email to have become part of the rhythmic acquisition of customers through meetings for Michael and Linda. I thought it was worthwhile just sharing that as well. Very, very simple text. You can just pause the video and you can scribble that down. If you want to swipe it, feel free to do so. So that's how we get meetings, Cam, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Anything we haven't covered?
I mean, the principles, it's relatively straightforward. When you boil it down, you've got to know your numbers, identify who you actually want to have meetings with, that dream list, and then you've got to actually show up like nobody else, get their attention, get them excited, be memorable, and follow up.
Yeah, and this stuff works best when it's rhythmic. So it works best when this is happening on an ongoing basis, because this is at the heart of rhythmic acquisition of clients for so many now of the people in our Ludify agency. And hopefully what we've learned through working with them and helping them to succeed over the last few months is also going to be helpful for you.